Today's headline news. ICC issues arrest warrants for Prime Minister Netanyahu and former Defense Minister Gallant over alleged war crimes. For what? For war crimes! Us! Yes, we Israel. Our leaders are being singled out by the international community of justice for war crimes in Gaza. Talk about a George Orwellian type of reality that we're living. But no, I'm not surprised at all. This is totally expected. And not only am I not sad or depressed about this development, and it has real serious consequences, I think it's great because I have a true God-fearing, belief-based lens of understanding our reality. The evil powers of the immoral, enlightened Western world right now are totally exposing themselves and bringing us closer in these redemptive times. So stick with me to the end to better understand this whole update. So basically, the International Criminal Court, the ICC, has once again shown its true colors, issuing arrest warrants for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant over alleged war crimes in Gaza. According to the court, there are reasonable grounds to believe that both leaders were involved in actions constituting war crimes, right? And they're basically focusing on starving them, even with all the humanitarian aid we give them. The decision is not just not legally and morally bankrupt, is an outright attack on Israel's right to defend itself and its people that any nation should be able to have. The ICC's ruling ignores the fundamental truths of this conflict. Hamas, not Israel, is responsible for the suffering in Gaza and the atrocities that have plunged the region into chaos. So let's lay out the facts that the ICC conveniently is overlooking. Well, let's talk about the truth about Hamas. Number one, it was Hamas, backed by Iranian and Qatari funding, that infiltrated Israel on October 7th, 2023, committing the most horrifying massacre the Jewish people have faced since the Holocaust. Entire families wiped out, children burnt alive, women raped, and over 1,400 innocent Israelis murdered in cold blood and kidnapped. Yet the ICC has the audacity to target Israeli leaders defending their citizens instead of those who orchestrated those atrocities. Number two, Hamas took over 200 hostages, of which they still have 101, including children and elderly. And they're in conditions so dire that not even a single visit by the International Red Cross has been permitted by the international. They haven't fought for it. The international community has done nothing, which is a blatant violation of international law, and yet the ICC and all the international community and countries have remained silent. Number three, Hamas steals humanitarian aid meant for the people of Gaza, sometimes even at gunpoint, and they resell it at exorbitant prices to the very population it oppresses and should be getting for free. Well, this allows Hamas to maintain its stranglehold on Gaza while lining its leaders' pockets, and yet the world continues to turn a blind eye. International community, where are you? Number four, Hamas deliberately uses its civilian population as human shields, embedding weapons and fighters in homes, schools, and hospitals. And this isn't just a war crime, it's a calculated propaganda strategy to make Israel look bad when it defends itself and their civilians are killed. Every civilian casualty in Gaza is a tragedy, but the responsibility lies solely with Hamas, not Israel. Number five, the Biden administration and the international community bear responsibility for enabling Hamas to remain in power. By pressuring Israel to provide humanitarian aid that ends up in Hamas's hands, which the international community and the Biden administration know, they indirectly sustain the terror regime of Hamas in Gaza, ensuring continued suffering for both Israelis and Gazans. So, ICC hypocrisy is there for all to see. Instead of holding Hamas accountable for its endless war crimes, the ICC is targeting Israeli leaders fighting an existential war for survival when Israel didn't start but has no choice but to finish and to save our captives. So this ICC ruling is a slap in the face to justice, morality, and the principles of international law, which we see as now meaningless. But while it feels like the entire world is against us, I want to offer you a deeper perspective, one rooted with a deep Jewish spiritual lens. All right, so hear me out. The ICC's decision is yet another manifestation of a historical pattern, the world turning against the Jewish people. This isn't new. It's part of our collective story over thousands of years. The Torah, Bible, teaches us that the Jewish people are destined to be a light unto the nations, ultimately bringing salvation, redemption to all of humanity, and leading the world to recognize Hashem as the one true God above. So how does this come to be? Well, by the Jewish people living in our ancestral homeland and being placed in impossible situations where the world is unified in its bias and hatred against us. And we're seeing this today as global institutions like the ICC accuse Israel of crimes and a war for survival that we didn't start, while ignoring the atrocities of our Islamo-Nazi enemies who openly seek our destruction with the assistance of the international community. And yet, time and again, the Jewish people miraculously survived everything that's taken place against us, and we are thriving despite these challenges. This survival is not just a testament to our resilience, it's a testament to God above looking after us. At some point, voices across the globe today will recognize that the whole world is against us, and yet we're surviving and thriving in our ancestral homeland, that it is a miraculous reality, that Israel and the Jewish people continue to endure and flourish against all odds. Why? Because we fight, but it's God above running the miracles. So make no mistake, this ICC decision poses serious challenges for Israel. It could have diplomatic, legal, and political consequences that we must fight tooth and nail on the ground to address. Our leaders, legal teams, and advocates worldwide must rise to the occasion to combat this injustice and expose the evil, immoral hypocrisy of the international community and international institutions. But as we have that fight, we must also remember the broader picture. This decision is part of a much larger story, one that has repeated itself throughout Jewish history and coming to a culmination today in these redemptive times. And just as we've prevailed before, we will prevail again, and this time, with the whole world coming against us, the Jewish people return to our ancestral homeland, they're going to believe God above is the one that's making us survive. So despite the grim nature of this news, there is so much reason for optimism. The ICC's bias highlights the strength of Israel's moral and spiritual foundation, while it highlights the pinnacle of immorality of the enlightened Western international community. It underscores that the world sees Israel as different. The Jewish people were different, even if they frame it in terms of criticism. But this difference is not a weakness. It is our strength. Yes, we are different. And we are different because we're the Jewish people with the Torah, with God behind us. When we stand firm in our identity and our mission as a people in our homeland, we embody the values that will ultimately bring light to the world and humanity. And as hard as it may be to see now, this struggle is part of a divine plan that will lead us to a brighter future for Israel, the Jewish people, and all of humanity. And I'm talking right now to you Jews out there. We can no longer shy away from our identity, from our biblical claim to our ancestral homelands, and our goal as the Jewish people to one day rebuild our holy temple in Jerusalem, right over there. Nothing we do or say to placate the worries of the enlightened world will stop their crusade against us. No matter what we do, they're always against us. No matter what we listen to, no matter what we give into, they're always against us. It is time we stop trying to appease the world and start to act as the proud, ancient Jewish people, miraculously returned as sovereign once again in our ancestral homeland, acting as true sovereign over all of our ancestral homeland and our holy sites, recognized as such by the majority of the world population, who all know the truth of the Bible and of the prophets in the Bible. So yes, we must fight this ICC decision with all the tools at our disposal. But let us also take a moment to recognize the spiritual significance of our situation and this ICC decision. We are the Jewish people standing strong in the face of global bias and evil, and we will endure as we always have. But in today's time, with the whole world coming against us in the land of Israel, ultimately, the voices will grow, recognizing that it's happening, and it's a miracle because of God above, achieving our purpose as the Jewish people by our existence in our homeland, and humanity learning there is only one true God. Everyone living their own ways of life, but understanding there is only one true God by recognizing the miracle of the Jewish people overcoming it all. That is it for today's inspiring, belief fact-based, politically incorrect truth about Israel, the Jewish people, and the freedom-loving world. If you are not yet a subscriber to my daily Pulse of Israel videos, what are you waiting for? Go to pulseofisrael.com and click to subscribe. If you're on WhatsApp, we have a WhatsApp group to subscribe to. If you're on Telegram, you have a Telegram group to subscribe to, where you get even more information and updates from me. What are you waiting for? And we are a donor-based organization. We need your support because we're heavily censored and shadow banned across all social media. It's thanks to your donations that we're able to get our videos made and seen. So every once in a while, go to pulseofisrael.com and click on the donate button. Shalom, everyone, from the ancestral, beautiful, indigenous homeland of the Jewish people where we are bringing the redemption. And Jerusalem and the Holy Temple, we are coming. And when are you going to come home and join us here? Shalom, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Pulse of Israel, frontline videos from the Holy Land. Support our work by donating today.